Okay.
Good morning, students. In the previous class, we discussed about the different categories of rivers in India. That you already learned that they are perennial rivers and non-perennial rivers. But in this class, we are going to learn about the topic water use in the Tungabhadra River Basin. In the lesson, Indian rivers and water resources. Listen, students, you know that water use in the Tungabhadra river. This Tungabhadra, this is the tributary of the river Krishna. You are very familiar with the river Krishna. It is flowing in our Andhra Pradesh state. This Tungabhadra is the tributary of the river Krishna. This Tungabhadra river begins from Western Ghats. The origin place of the Tungabhadra is the Western Ghats in Karnataka. Listen carefully. The total catchment of the river Tungabhadra is 71,417 square kilometers. This is the catchment area of the Tungabhadra river. Catchment area is nothing but the area in which the rainwater flow through the river. That is 71,417 square kilometers. Out of this total catchment area, majority of the area is located in the Karnataka state. For example, out of this catchment area, Karnataka state cover 57,671 square kilometer of area. Out of this total catchment of area, 57,671 square kilometer of area is in the state of Karnataka, and the remaining area is in the state of Andhra Pradesh. It means the water of this Tungabhadra river basin is mainly shared by the two southern states. They are, one is Karnataka and another one is Andhra Pradesh, but much of the area is in the state of Karnataka. Listen carefully. Here the water is shared by these two states in the Tungabhadra river based upon the agreements. There are some agreements are there between the Karnataka government and Andhra Pradesh government to share the water of the river Tungabhadra. This Tungabhadra river basin consists of two parts. One is upper and middle part, and the second one is lower portion. Upper and middle part, it is in Karnataka state, and the lower portion is in Andhra Pradesh state. This lower portion of Andhra Pradesh is characterized with low rainfall. Very low rainfall has taken place in this Tungabhadra river catchment area in Andhra Pradesh, and also it is a drought prone area. Means very less rainfall has taken place in this area. Most of the land in this state is covered with farmland. Farmland is nothing but land using for cultivation. Farmland is the main land that covered in this area. Along with this farmland, some amount of land is covered with forest, pastures, nothing but which is using for grazing, as well as cultivable wasteland. In some area it is covered with the trees. All these things are covered in some of the area. This one, most of the land is farmland, and some land is covered with forest, pastures, as well as wastelands, as well as trees and cultivable waste. And some land is used for water harvesting system. Some land is used for water harvesting, especially tanks. Generally, in this region, in this area, especially in this Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh state, regions may be of two types. The regions which are depending upon rainfall and groundwater. Some regions are depending upon rainfall as well as the groundwater. And some regions, other regions are there, those regions are depending upon the canals which carry the water from the dams that was built along the river Tungabhadra. Listen carefully. There are two regions are there in this region, in this area. One is the regions which are depending upon rainfall and groundwater, that is one category. And the second region, that region is depending upon the water carrying by the canals that was built along the Tungabhadra river basin. Listen, especially in this Tungabhadra river basin area, some of the people are occupying the forest land. Due to the why they are occupying the forest land means to cultivate the crops. Because of the cutting of trees indiscriminately, the underground water levels also decreases. Let us listen how underground water level decreases due to the cutting of trees. For example, you know that when the rainwater fall on the ground, if the more number of trees are there means that the trees stop the rainwater that was flow on the ground. When the trees stop the flow of water, some amount of water goes under the ground through the roots of the trees. When there is no adequate trees, then what happened? Water flow on the surface as a runoff. So there is no chance to go the water under the ground. Listen, because of the rapid felling of trees, the groundwater table decreases. That is one of the problem. Another one is due to the rapid felling of trees, there is a threat for the flora and fauna, nothing but plants and animals. So we should not cut the trees for these cultivation of land. Listen carefully. The another important challenge facing by the Tungabhadra reservoir is this reservoir lost its water storage capacity. Let us listen how much water storage capacity it lost. If you go for the 50 years back, the water storage capacity of the Tungabhadra reservoir is 3,766 million cubic meters. But now this reservoir, Tungabhadra reservoir, lost its water storage capacity by 849 million cubic meters. Listen. 50 years back, actually this project, this Tungabhadra dam was constructed in 1953. If you take 50 years back, its water storage capacity is 3,766 million cubic meters. But now this reservoir lost its water storage capacity by 849 million cubic meters due to the accumulation of silt that has taken place because of the mining activities. Listen, there are two types of mining activities has taken place in this Tungabhadra reservoir. One is iron ore extraction and another one is manganese extraction. This iron ore extraction is nothing but taking of mineral from the ground. This iron ore extraction has taken place at a place called Kudremukh. And manganese extraction has taken place at Sandur. Iron ore extraction at Kudremukh and manganese extraction at Sandur affects the water storage capacity of this Tungabhadra river basin. And statistics reveals that no proper mining standards are followed in this area of iron ore at Kudremukh and manganese at Sandur. This is the most important challenge, nothing but most important problem facing by the Tungabhadra river. This is not the only challenge facing by the Tungabhadra river. There are some other challenges also facing by the Tungabhadra river. Another important challenge facing by the Tungabhadra river is cultivation of more water intensive crops. You know that water intensive crops means you take the paddy, sugarcane. They are mainly the high water intensive crop. Here, most of the farmers in the state of Karnataka as well as in Andhra Pradesh are competing with each other to cultivate the water intensive crop. Due to the high desire of water for cultivation of water intensive crop, there is a high pressure was put on this reservoir. Then its water is not sufficient for all the farmers of Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Another important challenge is growing of towns. Many towns was developed along the Tungabhadra river basin. Along with the development of towns, the standard of living of the people has increases. That is the good thing. But due to the development of the towns, the water pollution has taken place. Another thing is establishment of more industries. As you know that along the Tungabhadra reservoir, along the Tungabhadra river basin, there are 27 large scale industries are there and 2543 small scale industries are there. 27 large scale industries and 2543 small scale industries are located along the Tungabhadra river basin. These industries also causes the pollution of water. So these are all the challenges facing by the Tungabhadra reservoir. That is, no proper mining standards at iron ore at Kudremukh and manganese at Sandur, growing of towns. With the growing of towns, there is a high demand has taken place for the use of water and also development of industries. 27 large scale industries has developed and 2543 small scale industries were developed. These industries also consumed a lot of water from this Tungabhadra reservoir. Then conflicts has arises. When the water is not sufficient, the conflicts has arises. There are some conflicts are there between Karnataka and Andhra Pradesh. Actually, water of any reservoir is shared based upon the agreements of state governments. But due to the inadequate water, some conflicts are arises. Let us see why conflicts has arises in between the Karnataka government and the Andhra Pradesh government. Before going to know about the conflicts, you have to know about the two parts. As here I mentioned here, Tungabhadra river basin consists of two parts, upper and middle part and lower portion. Generally, water is a flowing resource. For example, it flows from upper areas to lower areas. Upper area is located in the Karnataka state. Lower area is located in the Andhra Pradesh state. It means water is coming from here to lower area. If we build a dam over this upper area, we can store the more water. The storage of more water in the upper stream will affect the availability of water in the lower stream. For example, if we do not build the dams over the upper stream, the total water flow and comes into the lower stream, then water is available. But here, the Karnataka government has built one dam, that is the Almatti Dam. Recently, it also increases its height. With the increasing of height of the dam of Almatti, more water is shared in the Karnataka. Less amount of water only coming to the lower portion of Andhra Pradesh. But people, nearly 80% of the people in these states are mainly depending upon agriculture. That agriculture is mainly depending upon the availability of water. So less water is available for the Andhra Pradesh people because of its location in the lower area. Then conflicts arises between these two governments. That too cultivation of water, that too competition between these two states farmers to grow the water intensive crops. So these are all the challenges that has facing by the Tungabhadra river basin. Listen once again. In this topic we discussed that Tungabhadra is a tributary of the river Krishna. It originates from the Western Ghats in Karnataka. Upper part of the Tungabhadra, it is divided into two parts, upper part and middle part, that is one, and the lower part, that is second one. Upper part and middle part is in Karnataka, the lower portion is in Andhra Pradesh. Listen, the Tungabhadra reservoir also lost its water storage capacity from the past few decades. Earlier it has the more water capacity, that is 3766. more water capacity is there in the earlier area and less amount of water only needed on that time, because there is no competition for the farmers. But now water intensity, the water storage capacity has decreases by 849 million cubic meters due to the various reasons, especially due to the not following of proper mining standards, especially iron ore and manganese at Kudremukh and sand respectively. One more thing here, development of industries. 27 large scale industries are there and 2543 small scale industries were developed along the river basin. These industries also consume a lot of water. Earlier, these industries were allowed, these industries were permitted to discharge their waste, chemical waste, industrial waste into the water. But due to the discharging of industrial waste into the water, it affects the fish production. Then there is a heavy public protest has taken place against the discharging of industrial waste. Then the government made a law in 1984 and the government banned the discharging of industrial waste into the Tungabhadra river wide. But government was allowed. Government allow these industries to discharge the treated accumulates into the Tungabhadra river basin. Let us listen. Now we are going to introduce another topic, that is rational and equitable use of water by taking one example. Rational and equitable use of water by taking an example. Just take the example, the equitable use of water. That is, just you take the example of Hiwari Bazaar. Rational and equable use of water. Nothing but how we use the water equally without any conflicts. To know about how we use the water equally without any conflicts, we have to know about one example, that is Hiwari Bazaar. Hiwari Bazaar is one of the village located in Maharashtra state. Maharashtra government launched one program for the all-round development of the villages. The name of that program is Adarsh Gram Yojana. Shortly we call it as AGY. This program was launched by Maharashtra government for the all-round development of the mainly villages. Listen, when Maharashtra government launched this Adarsh Gram Yojana program, Maharashtra government has selected this Hiwari Bazaar village to implement this program. Listen carefully about the where this Hiwari Bazaar is located. Hiwari Bazaar is located in the Maharashtra state, especially to the leeward side of the Sahyadri mountains. Actually, this Hiwari Bazaar is located in the Ahmednagar district in Maharashtra state. Especially it is located in the rain shadow region of the Sahyadri mountains. Sahyadri mountains is nothing but the northern part of the Western Ghats. You know that. If you take South India, here Western Ghat mountains are located from north to south. Northern portion of the Western Ghat mountains are known as the Sahyadri mountains. To the leeward side means the region where there is no rainfall has taken place. This is called as a rain shadow region. This Hiwari Bazaar is located in the Ahmednagar district of Maharashtra. It is located to the leeward side of the Sahyadri mountains.